is up, everybody? Welcome to Birds of the Round Table. Tonight, we are breaking down Eagles versus Cowboys, and we are doing our Eagles mid-season award show, talking MVP, Rookie of the Year, Most Improved Player, that much and more. Guys, if you're watching, please be sure to like, comment. If you're watching us live, joining us, he is Shane Half NFL on Twitter. What's up, Shane?
What's up, Dives?
What's going on, man? What's going on? And also joining us, Ryan Reese of Philly Sports Alliance. Go check him out at Philly Sports PSA. What's good, Ryan?
Not much, man. Just coming off this high of this Dallas win, and ready. I'm so happy we're going into the bye 8-1, and let's get healthy and let's go through this little bit of gauntlet of a 5-game stretch here, and let's go.
Rest up, Jalen. Rest up. Last but not least, best for last, he is David at PHL Eagle News. Check him out and all of his work at PhillyCoverCorner.com. What's up, David?
What's going on, guys? I agree with Ryan. It's been great going into the bye at 8-1. I think I'm going to use the week to check out some draft players, watch a little college football that I haven't been doing too much of lately, and getting back into the Sixers, man. They're actually looking good. It's been a pretty good sports week, baby.
I'm so in on everything Philadelphia 76ers, but that's a different show. That's for tomorrow on the dreaded Boston Celtics. But it is Tuesday night. Let's jump right in to Eagles versus Dallas. Shane, what was your biggest takeaway against the Dallas Cowboys?
My biggest takeaway is that the secondary has to figure out something fast. When you have two receivers for the other team, Jake Ferguson and CeeDee Lamb, put up career numbers, that's not good. I mean, the Eagles are able to come out and win the game, and they catch some breaks down the stretch at the end, and a win is a win and all that. But watching back the All-22 today, I don't have a clue what Sean Desai was trying to do in some of these situations. Like, it seems to me like when you're paying two cornerbacks top 15 money in the NFL, maybe you should put one of them on CeeDee Lamb instead of a UDFA and Eli Ricks. I don't know. The plan just didn't make sense. There were several times, like there was a play where they lined CeeDee Lamb up in the backfield to isolate him on Zach Cunningham in coverage, and the Eagles you cannot allow that to happen. The play near the end of the game, when Dax forced off his spot, I tweeted this clip out, but Dallas, out of that false start, they substituted into 10 personnel, 4 receivers on the field, and the Eagles kept 2 linebackers on the field and asked Zach Cunningham to cover Kevontae Turpin in the slot. And spoiler alert, he didn't. And it would have been wide open. It would have been a touchdown, and the Eagles would have lost the game if the pass rush didn't get home. So I don't know what Sean Desai is trying to do. I've generally given a lot of latitude because I've seen him trying things, and I've seen the injuries and all that stuff. It's time. It's go time. You got to start figuring some of this stuff out. The empty part of the schedule's over. It's time to see a better plan on the defensive side of the ball.
Muted.
I'm muted. My bad. Like, if they can just get it going just a little bit and get it closer to that run defense, man. This defense has worlds of upside. Ryan, what was your takeaway?
Yeah, no, I mean, Shane's absolutely right. The secondary needs to get this, figured out. I mean, they have the talent, they have the players. It's like, I'm starting to worry that I'm not comparing Desai to Jim Schwartz, but you remember that, again, Slay's first year here was Schwartz as the D coordinator. Slay wasn't very good. He really wasn't. It clearly just wasn't a mesh. And I'm not bashing Slay, and I just think he's not being utilized in kind of his best way. And I feel like that's kind of almost maybe what's happening here is I think Desai just needs to realize, hey, listen, I have 2 all-pro corners. I have an all-pro safety. I have a young up-and-coming safety. I have plenty of talented, other players that can kind of fill in the gaps there. There is the talent. It's just man, sometimes they just look lost out there, and they just don't look like they know who's where and what they're doing, and what covers they have behind them and in front of them, and yeah, the secondary needs some damn help, and Howie already did his job, so now Desai and Sirianni need to figure out what do they got to do to better put this defensive backfield. I mean, and sure, and the linebackers too, because you're right. As Shane said, can't have Zach Cunningham, you know, covering Turpin. I mean, the guy runs a 4.240. No offense to Zach Cunningham, he's been a great player this year, but man, no, thank you.
And it's worth noting that, yeah, guys were banged up, but that was a play where Bradbury and Slay were both on the field. So it's not like you were down outside corners and you weren't comfortable putting like a Mario Goodrich out there. Like they responded with Eli Ricks, Sidney Brown, and Eli Ricks, Darius Slay, and James Bradbury. Sidney Brown, who played about half the snaps in the slot in the game, was on the bench. Just put him out there. Like you're not worried about a run. There's like 10 seconds left and they got no timeouts and they're backed up. You just can't allow that to happen.
Yep. What about you, David? What was your take?
I got a negative one and a positive one. They're quick. The negative one is this is back-to-back weeks that the offense could have ended the game and they didn't. And at the beginning of the season, they were doing that. But the running game, without the threat of Hurts, is really stalling. And they've got 3.6 or fewer yards per carry in 5 straight games. And I know it's hard to change the offense at this point, but they got to add some new play designs because as good as Cam Jurgens is, when he comes back, it's going to help. But it's not going to help as much as a healthier Jalen Hurts will, because without those RPOs and the threat of him running, it's really hurting. But on the positive side, and I've said it for a couple months, the Eagles are one of, if not the best team in this league. And we do cherry pick plays and we nitpick about things and all. But at the end of the day, they keep finding ways to win the ball game. And that's what every single great team does. Most NFL games always come down to the fourth quarter. And this was one area that last year they didn't have many of those types of games because of their big, strong second quarters. They weren't really battle tested in that area. But this year they are. And it could be the difference between them watching the confetti fall on the other team and them hoisting a Lombardi at the end of the year. So maybe all this will come back and be a bonus for them at the end of the year.
Yeah, the biggest thing is they're not having these giant leads where they can, in the second half, just run it down teams' throats in the second half. They're not running the ball as effectively, especially the last several weeks. So they're not able to just sit on the clock and just own time of possession in these second halves. And we've kind of been talking about that in previous shows. Real quick shout out to Jalen Hurts, who has been just sensational these last few weeks. Like 10 total touchdowns, 1 interception, tons of explosive plays. That performance he put together last week against Dallas was just heroic. Something I'll remember for a long time, putting this team on his back. You already touched on the secondary. I want to give a shout out to something I didn't think I would be saying, but here we are. And Zach Cunningham and his performance against the Dallas Cowboys was amazing. He was great in coverage, just allowed 4 receptions on 7 targets for 21 yards. He had a pass breakup. He had 4 run stops, great against the run. The dude played every snap. He led the team in tackles with 10. He seemed to be all around the football, and especially in the second half. It's now time to start thinking about the conversation of Nakobe Dean taking a breather. And this guy, Nakobe Dean, he got hurt again. And I'm saying this as one of Nakobe Dean's biggest fans. It's just not happening. It's just not happening. We've seen Nick Morrow and have his moment. We saw, like last week, Zach Cunningham have his moment. The conversation starts during the bye week with Sean Desai about what to do with Nakobe Dean because he doesn't look ready, especially when it comes to coverage. Anthony says Desai is way over his head with being a defensive coordinator. I would go that far. Let's pump the brakes on that one. Yam says offensive line is a problem. Problem is your Cam
Jurgens
Jurgens?
probably.
I think
Jurgens.
okay. Are the Eagles afraid of giving up the big play? Absolutely. There is some bend don't break in this defense, no doubt.
Yeah.
Every team is.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, that's what this league is turning into, is that big play. And people game plan for those, offensive players that have that ability, have that big game ability. But
and
so.
And to be fair, like a lot of teams have been negating this defensive line, which is arguably one of the biggest strengths of this entire team, by just getting rid of the ball fast and owning possession and getting into those third and shorts, third and manageables, and keeping the Eagles offense off the field. So anybody
if I
else?
piggyback on one thing you said about Hurts, he's doing all this also on one leg, basically, man, because that guy is hurt. I mean, and he is coming in here and he has changed the way he plays the game. He is doing all passes, and he's also the difference in those games because Dak couldn't get that 2-point conversion. Jalen Hurts would have scored that 2-point conversion. Then that game's different because they kick a field goal to tie that thing. We're in overtime. But Dak can't do what Hurts can do. And he's doing it all on one freaking leg, man. I mean, it's pretty remarkable. You won't see many people that much of a warrior, that much of a leader. And he's putting everybody on his back with one leg and carrying them.
Yeah, bone bruises don't feel good. I mean, there's not a lot you can really do. But, I mean, this is something that I thank God he has, a couple of weeks off now to kind of just not do anything and just hope that 2 weeks is enough to kind of get him to a point of getting a little bit better, because as David said, the lack of Jalen Hurts' run ability is certainly affecting our overall run game for certain. So the times he did run, it worked beautifully because they were just assuming he wasn't ever going to run, and that's why he had some open lanes to eventually take that those quick, easy, non-contact type runs.
And someone mentioned to me the knee brace he's wearing, that may have saved him on that hit he took, that low hit. Without that brace already on his knee, that thing may have that could have been really ugly, because I know every single person in that stadium, including me, held their breath for 10 seconds when he was laying there, boy. Yeah. Like that was not a good moment.
Yeah. Yep.
You guys want
anybody else have
comparison? Yeah, if you want a comparison of just what that injury would do to a mortal person instead of Jalen Hurts, the exact same thing. But when I was in college, I got a deep tissue bruise on like my shin, and I was on crutches for 2 weeks, man. And that's just walking around a college campus. Jalen Hurts playing through that the way he's playing through it is just incredible.
It's insanity. Yeah. A buddy of mine played college football for UMass. Said the same thing. He's like, I don't know how he's doing it, because he's like, I had a bone bruise on my knee, kind of just like similar like him, and he was like, I was out for 6 weeks. I was like, I wasn't doing anything. It's like, that hurt way too much.
Yep. And we didn't even mention Goddard going down.
I know. That guy's just the worst.
That's a big loss. They don't have anybody on that roster that can fill in what he does, man. Not catching nor pass blocking. He's better at both than anybody else, any other tight end on that roster.
Well, Calcaterra probably might have even played his last down. He's had so many concussions throughout his life, and Stoll, let's be honest, can really only do one thing, and who knows what the heck Albert O is going to do. I mean, they just don't seem to want to play him. So
I want to see Julio in a quasi tight end role. That's what I want to see. I want to see the pass catching that Goddard got going to Julio Jones.
Agreed. Anybody else have any other takeaways?
I just want to say, just for the sake of kind of looking into all of this, is going into this bye 8-1, going into the next 5 games that are certainly going to be extremely tough. And if obviously want to throw the Dallas game in, that's obviously 6. So we've gotten through one of them, but we have the 2.5 game lead in the division. San Fran has faltered a little bit. This really is setting us up, because those 3 games at the end of the year should be absolute wins. They're against teams that are trying to get that Caleb Williams sweepstakes, and so already I'm throwing 11 wins. If we can get 2, that should give us the number 1 seed, right?
Mm.
You think about 13 wins,
Yeah.
that should probably give us the number 1 seed, right? So think about that. Do you see any team coming into the link and beating
yet.
us?
No.
No, I don't. So what does that tell you? That tells you that's Super Bowl, right? And do you think Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts are going to let us go to 2 straight Super Bowls and lose? I don't. I don't think that's in their DNA. I don't think they're going to let that happen again.
The only threat to that 1 seed is Detroit.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably the biggest team that we would have to worry about from here on out is Detroit.
Getting the 1 seed, because they got 2 losses and their schedule is not like the Eagles. It's a lot.
Nobody says. Nobody says.
Nobody. Like I was looking at the Saints' remaining schedule because
Oh my gosh,
the Eagles have their 2nd round pick. They play
No.
nobody. They play nobody. They play
Well,
Detroit.
They play the South. They play the South. That's the problem. It's the worst division ever.
It's so frustrating.
I know.
All right. Let's roll on here and talk about our awards. Let me share my screen. Guys, if you're watching, comment your thoughts on awards and things like that. It's going to get really fun. I'm going to make these into like little video shorts and things like that. As we now have Shane joining us in person. Let's start off, David. Mid-season MVP for the Philadelphia Eagles. What's your pick?
It's hard to go against Jalen Hurts, but I'm going against Jalen Hurts. I'm going A.J. Brown.
AJ Brown for David.
I've been a fan of the Eagles a long, long time. And you know how many years I wanted them to have a 1,000-yard receiver? Like 25 of those years. And this man has got 1,000 yards in half a season. I mean, it is unreal, man. It's unbelievable. It's at a level that nobody has ever done in Philadelphia ever before. And I don't see how it goes to anybody else right now.
Love it. What about you, Shane? Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Man, this one's tough because I want to make the argument for Jalen Hurts and just how incredible that he's played. I tweeted out the stats earlier today. Like, we've all heard the stuff about he's a running back. It's just the RPOs. Like, we've all heard all of that stuff. And so I went and looked at the passing statistics, only pocket passing and removing RPOs, play action, and scrambles. And Jalen Hurts ranks 1st in QBR, 1st in completion percentage, 2nd in touchdown percentage, 3rd in EPA per play, 3rd in success rate, 1st in boom rate, and 1st in bust rate. There is not another quarterback in the NFL that ranks top 10 in all of those categories. And yet I still have to say A.J. Brown. Like, what A.J. Brown is doing is historic. And if not for another receiver in Tyreek Hill that's probably going to hit 2,000 yards, you could make a legitimate argument that A.J. Brown should win the league MVP award if it were today. And so as much respect as I have for Jalen Hurts, as incredible as I think he's played, I got to go A.J. Brown here.
All right, A.J. Brown for Shane. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, it's easy. It's A.J. Brown. I mean, David, man, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, think about how many of those low years that we were praying for a 1,000-yard receiver, like Pinkston, James Trash. I mean, Trash, Nay Brown. Like, come on, we could do this all day, and we could all just feel sick to our stomachs. And again, it wasn't the Deshaun Jackson and the Macklins. That was the last time we had receivers like this, and it has been a long time since that. And A.J. Brown and Devontae are changing us, our mindset right now. And Brown is just literally doing something that's historic. The fact that he could be on pace for a 2,000-yard season is again rarefied air. And Shane said it. If it wasn't for Tyreek Hill, there would be no other wide receiver to be talking about right now. But so it's going to be a race. It's going to be a race between them to get to 2,000, and it's going to be a fun race. I'll tell you that. But yeah, Brown is just he's man. He is fun too. He's just so fun.
Yep. Clean sweep, AJ Brown. Like if Jalen Hurts gave me a couple more games here or there, besides the last stretch, maybe he's in the conversation. But it's AJ Brown. Who's just on a historic pace. It's got to be it. So we are going AJ Brown as our midseason MVP. Let's go on to Offensive Player of the Year, David. Where are you going?
Offensive Player of the Year. Well, I guess I'll just give that one to Jalen Hurts for everything that Shane just said. I mean, he's as remarkable as AJ's been, but just on different stats. I mean, it's incredible. And the guy, this is a guy who ran first through second, and now he's completely changed his game. And I don't think it's just injury related. I mean, that's contributed to it, but he has changed his game. He has pocket awareness, presence. He knows the offense better than he's probably ever known any offense, because he's never been in anything with this much continuity during his entire tenure as quarterback in any league at any level. So it's got to be Jalen for me.
Jalen Hurts for David. What about you, Shane?
Same thing. Yeah. I mean, it's got to be Jalen Hurts. There's nobody else that's even a consideration for me here. For all the reasons I said on MVP, but then didn't vote for him, I give him Offensive Player of the Year.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Hurts is definitely doing something that I think to the untrained eye may not come across as so great. But, some of the numbers that Shane just put out there, and it just goes to show you that he's been working on these things. And, that's the thing I love about this guy is he's very calm and cool, collected. He says exactly what he means. He says only what he needs to say. And he goes out there and he wants to improve. And he's clearly shown it every single year that he's been in this league. And I think this is certainly one of the things that he's been working on is that, pocket awareness, being more efficient while throwing the ball. And he's certainly proven that. So it's an easy Jalen Hurts for me.
All right. Jalen Hurts for Ryan. And for the sake of just being different, I'm just going to throw this out there and just say Lane Johnson. 93 pass block win rate this year. That's number 5 in the NFL. And I'll just say, when he got hurt during that Jets game, that was their only blemish this season. And that was a big part of it. So, the ball doesn't lie. When he's in, when he's out, I think the Eagles are like 13-27. So I'll go Lane Johnson as my Offensive Player of the Year, but I'm good with Jalen Hurts. Let's just roll on with Jalen Hurts. Defensive Player of the Year, David.
Well, I want to give it to Jalen Carter, but I see that I'm going to have to do that two more down here, further down. So I'm going Josh Sweat, and I'm taking Josh Sweat above Reddick or anybody else, because Sweat has one less sack than Reddick, but he has 6.5 sacks. He has 16 quarterback hits. He has 6 tackles for loss. He has 2 forced fumbles. He has fourth quarter pressures, and he is relentless. And he improves year over year. I think he's very underrated. I don't think people talk about just how good he's been. Without him, they would be a very different team. And I know a lot of people have thrown the nickname for Reddick as a closer, but man, you saw it in the Dallas game. Josh Sweat's a closer too. He has been just a relentless motor for this defense, and without him, they'd be in big trouble.
All right, what about you, Ryan?
I like David's choice here, but I am going to go with Reddick. Again, I think we saw this defense kind of shift when in the beginning of the year, Reddick was injured and he wasn't fully himself. And the second he was able to get 100% and get after those quarterbacks and he starting to get sacks, you saw this defense change and you saw it get more aggressive and you saw the sacks start coming. It was a slow process in the beginning because Reddick was slowed down, and I think as he goes, this defense goes. And yeah, I just think Hassan Reddick's just so important to this overall nastiness that this defensive line brings, and the defensive line is absolutely the heart and soul of the defense for sure.
Yep. Shane?
It's Josh Sweat for me. I thought I was going to have to make the Josh Sweat case
because I thought you would all pick Hassan Reddick, but Josh Sweat's tied for the NFL lead with 50 pressures, tied with Micah Parsons, 6.5 sacks. Before the season started, I listed Josh Sweat in my top 10 edge rushers, and people thought I was homering for the Eagles, and that's not what I'm here to do. But Josh Sweat's underrated. He's been underrated for an entire season. He's still underrated. And to be honest, he's going to continue to be underrated as long as he plays alongside Hassan Reddick, because Hassan Reddick's going to get the press. Josh Sweat is a darn good football player. He is a top 10, top 5 edge rusher in the league. I give him Defensive Player of the Year so far.
That's a good one. You know where I'm going with this one. It's obviously like Jalen Carter, 5 sacks. He's been sensational. He's at a historic pace for the Philadelphia Eagles as a rookie. There's been so many moments this season where he looked far and away the best player on this defense. Really, I'm kind of shocked at how the Cowboys managed him a little bit. He did get a sack, but he was kind of kept in check a little bit. But Jalen Carter is everything, man. He's, again, the guy that's going to make me break my own rule of never buying current players' jerseys. He's terrific. Jalen Carter for me. So we're going to roll with Josh Sweat. We good?
Sure, I guess. Yeah, that's fine.
Rolling with Josh Sweat.
Sweaty J.
Then we get to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Where do we go with that? I'm going to throw this to Shane first.
As you start to
Tyler
think of
Steen.
Any offensive rookie.
Tyler Steen. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. He's the only one, right?
He's the only one.
Cam Jerky.
He's not a rookie, though.
Not a rookie.
No, we're just going to not count that. His redshirt season doesn't count. We're just going Cam.
Yeah, I mean, when you only draft 2 offensive players and one of them is your third string quarterback, I guess you got to go with the guy that has played 1 game and notched a 13 pass blocking grade per PFF. So Tyler Steen, Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Tyler Steen. Everybody in agreement?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going Tanner McKee just for the way he looked in the preseason.
Talk about a great midseason award winner.
He won me a couple bets during the preseason, so I'm just sticking with him, man.
Not much we can do there. All right.
Do we talk about this next one? Do we even need to talk about it?
No, let's just go Jalen Carter.
I do want to point out that he ranks first in the NFL in defensive tackle pass rush win rate at 22%, despite being double teamed on 58% of his snaps. NFL teams are really walking out, and they're seeing a defensive line of Josh Sweat, 12 sacks last year. Hassan Reddick, 19 sacks last year. Yeah, Fletcher Cox, longtime household name, and they're saying, you know what? We need to double team Jalen Carter.
Don't forget Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham.
I mean, there's so many choices of who you want to focus on, and they are absolutely focusing on Jalen Carter, which just goes to show you how dominant this kid is.
Yeah. Marley says, I'm pretty much the same. I never buy a jersey unless I know you're retiring as an Eagle, man.
Not me.
Yeah, not Ryan.
Not me. I'll buy any stupid jersey. Don't matter.
All right. Most improved player. I'll go first on this one. For me, it's got to be Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis has 4 sacks on the season, 12 pressures. What he's done as a pass rusher has blown every expectation for me out the window. So I'm going to go Jordan Davis. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, same. Jordan Davis was a force early in the season. I'm a little concerned. A guy that didn't play a ton of snaps in college pops up on the injury report last week with a hamstring injury, or I guess 2 weeks ago with the hamstring injury, and was limited. I saw him very early in the Dallas game, grabbed this hamstring and signaled to the sideline. He was a low snap count again. So I'm really concerned about that moving through the rest of the year. We need him to get and stay healthy. hopefully that's not a lingering thing. But Jordan Davis has been phenomenal through the first 7 weeks of the season before he started battling that hamstring. Hopefully he's able to kick that over the bye week.
Yeah.
Love it. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's a couple of players that I was kind of thinking about, but yeah, Jordan Davis has certainly taken that leap, and you're right. I mean, it's been so much fun seeing this, interior defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles just kind of take over. I mean, you have the vets and Fletcher Cox there, and on the outside, Brandon Graham, and you have these two young kids, and it's almost like, man, we're gonna be all right. We're gonna be okay. I mean, these kids are dominating, and Jordan Davis, again, we didn't see a lot of him. I think we're all a little disappointed in his usage last year, and this year again, he's been right there, and he's been absolutely dominant. As you said, 4 sacks, which as a D tackle, it's never an easy thing to get sacks. So I'll absolutely take that. And yeah, Jordan Davis, get healthy, and we're gonna need you for this stretch run here.
Ryan, so you're going Jordan Davis?
Yep.
All right. What about you, David?
Jalen Hurts.
Wow.
I have to say, last season he made such a jump. What was he, second or third in the MVP finalist? And I thought we saw his peak. I really did. I cannot believe the progress that he has made. For everything Shane said, I don't want to keep reiterating it, but it is unbelievable and it's unprecedented. I mean, the guy's doing things people haven't done in 50 years. It is unbelievable. His records, his fourth quarter, I believe it was his comeback stats. They showed it during the game between him and Dak, and the disparity of what he does coming from behind, playing from behind, and what Dak does. It's absolutely incredible. And I never thought he'd take this type of leap, and he has. And I know I'm not going to win this one, but it is just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah. Anthony says most improved Quez Watkins.
Oh my God.
Hey, him being off the field is a big improvement.
Right?
Marley says Covey. I like that one a lot. I like that.
That's actually not bad. No.
Derek Barnett.
Yeah, Anthony's got jokes.
Love it. All right.
Hey, I'm going to share my screen for a second. David, I tweeted a chart the other day that was what you're talking about. This is quarterback's EPA by score differential through the first 8 weeks of the season.
Good Lord.
Jalen Hurts, when he is behind, breaks the chart. He's so far through the first 8 weeks, this doesn't include week 9. When he's ahead, he's like a slightly below average quarterback. And when he's behind, he's like Tom Brady / meets Peyton Manning, has a love child with Andrew Luck. It's insane.
Yeah, that is crazy.
His splits when he's playing from behind is just absurd.
That is crazy.
The Eagles have now won, I think what is it? 7 straight games when trailing by double digits. No other quarterback has even done it 5 times in a row. And Hurts has done it 7 times now.
It's insane, man. His resiliency is just ridiculous. Let's roll on. Best play of the year or of the midseason. I'll lead us off. I really like, obviously, I have a type, and my favorite play of the year. It's not the best play of the year, but it's my favorite play of the year because it's mine. So I'm going to say it. It was the safety against, I believe it was the Washington Commanders. No, it was the Bucks. The safety against the Bucks when you had Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter on the same line, and they completely opened up a hole for the defense, and it led to a Nicholas Morrow tackle for loss and safety. That was like a sign of things to come. And I really like that play. That's something I watch a lot. Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter, obviously, those are like my favorite types. I love guys in the trenches, and I'm going to go that for my best play of the year. Shane, what's your best play of the year?
I really want to see how you fit that in that box.
Safety versus Tampa Bay.
I'm going to go to the Tampa Bay game as well. I'm going to go with the touchdown pass to Olamide Zaccheaus. The one where Hurts was in the pocket for 8 seconds. And then as he's getting hit, he laid it out over the middle of the field, barely over, I think it was Carlton Davis's fingertips. one of the more impressive throws of the season. So I'll go with that one.
All right. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I had a few in mind, and I completely forgot about that one, Shane. I was so impressed with that throw. Like it couldn't have been any more of a perfect throw to get right over Davis and right to Zacchaeus. So I'll agree with you, man. I think that touchdown pass, I just remember my jaw was absolutely wide open. So I'll agree.
All right, Ryan, don't take this the wrong way, but I'm
Oh,
changing
boy.
mine now.
Oh,
Now that one is represented, and Quentin put this in the comment, I've got to switch to Darius Slay and Zach Cunningham turning Dak Prescott into a helicopter.
I thought about that one, but I didn't want to pick something from Dallas because it was just so fresh on my mind,
Yeah. So since the TD to Oz is represented, I'm going to go with the helicopter Dak because that was amazing. That's my pinned tweet, and it will be my pinned tweet for a long time.
It's all right. It's all right, Shane. You're just, absolutely just busting on me all over today. So it's okay.
Anthony says AJ Brown's one-handed catch against.
That was a good one too. That's the one I thought about too.
Great one. What about you, David?
Call me petty. At the end of the season, when I think back on plays, the one that Shane just mentioned, helicopter Dak, is going to be one, and AJ Brown gifting the ball to Emmanuel Forbes is going to be the other.
Oh, that's a good one.
I'm going to remember that moment. I was a big fan of Forbes going into the whole draft process. I mean, I thought he was a first round pick easy, and just watching him just get emotionally unstable. I mean, it was just an incredible moment, and maybe it shouldn't have happened. I don't know if that was the one that took the game into almost overtime. I can't really remember, but I loved that moment. I loved watching the frustration. It was emotional damage, and I'm here for that. So I loved it.
All right, what are we going to say is the best? It's probably going to be helicopter Dak.
I like all of them. Yeah, listen, I'm good.
It's helicopter.
Let's go.
Best play of the year. Dak on his face.
It was in a pivotal moment. Again, if he gets in that end zone, it's a completely different game. And Slay and Slay lifted him up, and Cunningham finished the job. So that was great.
All right, let's roll on to best performance of the year. I'll give a quick shout out to DeAndre Swift's 175 yards against the Minnesota Vikings, 28 carries. He had a touchdown, 6.3 yards per carry. It was just an absolute monster. My, oh my, has the Eagles rushing attack fallen really since then? I'll go DeAndre Swift against the Vikings. What about you, Shane?
I'm going to go with Jalen Hurts' performance against Washington. The 29-38 passing, 319 yards, and 4 touchdowns, completed 76.3% of his passes. In that game, he had 0.72 drop back EPA, which is just absurd. By far the best numbers of his career. Truly special performance in a shootout because the defense could not get a stop. On a bum knee, couldn't move. Didn't matter. I know Washington's not the best quality of opponent, but they always play the Eagles tough. That was a great performance by Hurts. So I'll say that's my performance of the year so far.
Say Hurts at Washington.
Yep.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, no, that's a great one. I'm gonna go with AJ Brown's performance against Washington the first time around when he did ruin Emmanuel Forbes. 9 catches, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns. I mean, dang, if we can only play Washington, every week, AJ Brown would, crush the record for receiving touchdowns. That's for sure.
If the Eagles and Washington played 17 times a year, who would win MVP, AJ Brown or Sam Howell?
Wow. Sad. It's a close race.
I know who would lose. Every one of us.
And
we would be dead.
At one point during the Cowboys game, I tweeted out that the Eagles secondary was making Dak Prescott look like Sam Howell. And a bunch of Cowboys fans took offense to that. And I was like, did you watch Sam Howell play the Eagles? The Eagles were kingmakers for him.
I'm so glad to be done with the Washington Commanders. My goodness.
Yeah.
What about you, David? Best performance?
Jalen Hurts in the second half of the Cowboys game. A lot of us didn't even know if he was coming out in the second half of that game. And he goes 7 for 9 for 2 touchdowns. He gutted out another win. It's just an incredible thing. You just can't say enough good things about Hurts. I could pick him for almost every category in here. Even defensive rookie of the year. He's helped them. He's helped them too. He stayed on the field long with long drives. I mean, he's just been amazing. So Hurts second half versus Cowboys.
Yeah. These are all really good.
Yeah.
I like the Hurts one against Dallas. That was a signature win.
It was.
Just the opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. AJ Brown being AJ Brown against Washington. I don't know. We're gonna have to vote because I can't.
Yeah, we're gonna let's take that to the people.
Guys, if you're watching us, let us know which of these 4 best performance of the year. Get your vote. It's going to be the people's choice on this one. I can't decide. I love them all. Let's roll on to best player nobody saw coming on offense. We'll reverse it. David, where are you going?
All right, I called this my Who's the Man award. I'm giving it to Braden Mann. He's special teams, but I did not see this coming. He had 5 punts against Dallas for 51.8 average, a 57-yard long, 2 inside the 20, and he had a 47.2 net, which is huge, which is something we haven't seen here in a very long time. So, yeah, I've been so impressed with him. I'm taking a special teams guy. I'm going Braden Mann.
Braden Mann, that's a great one. Man, that punt he had against Dallas, I forget which punt that was, but it was an amazing punt. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I honestly thought about taking Jake Elliott because of how much the Eagles were struggling early in the year offensively, and he kept them afloat. To be honest, I didn't think that was allowed, or I might have fleshed out my case. So I'll say the best player, maybe not that nobody saw coming, but I didn't see coming, was Cam Jurgens. I predicted Tyler Steen was going to be the starting right guard, and Cam Jurgens not only won that role, he excelled in it to the point that Eagles fans are attributing the downfall of the run game to his injury. And there's some validity to that and the fact that Hurts has been injured as well. But Cam Jurgens, best player that I didn't see coming on the offense.
Yeah, that's a great one. That is a great one. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, and Shane nailed it. It's Cam Jurgens. I mean, think about the whole offense, and again, the David selection is a very, let's call it a very Dibes answer to go outside the box there. But yeah, it's got to be Cam Jurgens. I think we all knew exactly what we were getting with pretty much everybody else in the offensive line. The question mark was, was Cam Jurgens or Tyler Steen, again, depending on how early you were thinking about it, how are they going to do that right guard replacing Seumalo? And Cam Jurgens has been really good and has been really good for, DeAndre Swift in that run game. And yeah, you're right. I think it's a pretty much 50-50 there of Cam Jurgens not being in there and Hurts' injury that has really affected our run game effectiveness. So it's easy Cam Jurgens for me.
Yeah. Quentin says player didn't see coming, Kelly Oubre. Can I kind of do something similar? Like the fact that we're sitting here and pumping up Julio Jones. I'm shocked that Julio Jones is on the roster.
Honestly, I thought about that, but I was like, come on, he's made like 2 catches.
No, it's without a doubt, Cam Jurgens. Get healthy soon, man. When does he do bad? Well,
he was almost going to play in this Dallas game, and for whatever reason they just felt like he wasn't 100% there. So I would be absolutely shocked if he wasn't there for the Chiefs game.
Yeah. And then we roll on to best player nobody saw coming on defense. Who you got, Shane?
Man, that one's tough, and I don't really know what to say. Like, the Eagles pretty much returned starters. You could say Reed Blankenship, but I think Eagles fans, he's been good, but Eagles fans, irrationally expected him to be good because he intercepted Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go Nicholas Morrow. Nicholas Morrow on the practice squad has a 3-sack game against Washington. I'm not saying he's been great. I think linebacker play has been a little lackluster, but for a guy that couldn't get a roster spot in training camp to have been able to come in and start with Nakobe Dean injured and be okay in some respects, I'll go Nicholas Morrow.
Good one. What about you, David?
I picked the same guy, Nicholas Morrow. I mean, the guy gets cut. He comes back. He's wearing the dot. He's the quarterback of the defense. I mean, he hasn't been spectacular, but he surprised the hell out of me. I didn't think he'd be this good. I mean, he's doing everything we expected Nakobe Dean to do. So, I mean, I don't know anybody else who surprised me like him.
Yep, Ryan.
And you guys are absolutely nailing this, but unfortunately, you only got the position right. It's Zach Cunningham. Did we forget about Zach Cunningham? I mean, this guy wasn't even a thought. He was going to start a plumbing business with Miles Jack earlier this year. I mean, for the love of God, this guy comes off the streets. He comes in here. He gets the roster spot. He comes in. He has a couple of games where, man, all you heard was his name, and he was flying around. And listen, he is not perfect, but my God, no one saw this coming. He wasn't it wasn't even remotely close to being on the roster until right at the end of the preseason. And sure enough, he's making Dak helicoptering and making plays out there. It's got to be him.
I'm on that same wavelength, Ryan. I'm going Zach Cunningham. Recency bias, maybe. I don't know. But Morrow did have that 3-sack performance. I can't believe we didn't bring that up, but there's a lot of great performances this year, to be fair. But yeah, Zach Cunningham for me, who's, like I remember walking into this season and looking at that linebacking core with Morrow and Cunningham, and here we are, after 9 weeks, pumping them up, and it's pretty cool. Did not see that coming at all.
Can we add one category?
Yeah.
The player you didn't see coming that has not been good. However you want to word, the biggest surprise in a negative manner.
Worst player.
Yeah, I don't like saying that, but yes.
All right, let's do it. I'm going to go. I'll go first. God, I don't want to say it. I can't.
Yeah, I'll go first.
Yeah, I don't. It's gonna break my heart.
You want me to go first?
Yeah.
James Bradbury.
Yeah, that's a good one.
James Bradbury looks like the guy that the Giants cut for salary cap reasons. He had a great year last year. Guys, he's looked bad this year. I've been watching the film from the Cowboys games. There's a reason that he's not traveling around with CeeDee Lamb, because every time I'll tell you who looked better on CeeDee Lamb than Bradbury: Eli Ricks, Sidney Brown. Bradbury had a rough game, and he's had a few of them.
Yeah. I'm going to go Quez Watkins. Dude, at times looks like he shouldn't even be on the football field. Like we said, I think Shane said the Eagles have benefited without him on the football field. For some reason, that the Eagles believe in him, and I don't understand. But yeah, let's move forward. Quez for me. What about you, Ryan?
Am I going to be the one who has to do it, Dad?
I'm not doing it. I can't. I'm going to be sharing this, and I don't want to be the person that.
Yeah, you make a great point, because I feel like there's too much evidence out there of me and that player. So yeah, you're probably right. It's smart not to get involved. I'll say James Bradbury. You're right. He has not lived up to hype. He has been very disappointing. We all thought we had 1A, 1B. We don't need to draft a corner. We got 2 all pros. Well, you take a slight step back for Slay, and Bradbury looks a little lost out there. It seems like he doesn't know how to communicate with his safeties at times, and I get it. Some of the safeties are a little newer, or haven't been in there, but still, it just looks like sometimes the communication with the defensive backfield is awful, and it starts with Bradbury. I feel like he just has no sense right now, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah. All right. And then David, what about you?
Same as Bradbury. He's always been such a student of the game. He was such a smart player, and it covered up some of his inefficiencies with speed and such. But this drop off has been shockingly bad. I mean, he is stiff. He is slow. He is at times looking disinterested and confused. It has been shockingly bad. And Slay is what, 3 years older than him? I think if most people at the beginning of the year thought somebody would fall off, they would have said Slay. But Slay, he's been pretty good. He's changed the way he's played. He's a little more physical, which is interesting. But it is definitely Bradbury. But y'all got to say who it is that y'all won't say, because I have no idea who y'all are referring to.
No,
It's Kobe Dean.
oh, you said it.
Kobe Dean. He's just not.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Greg Ward.
Ah, man. Talk about sticking the knife and twisting.
Woo. Throwback. We have a donation from Judah says, "Love your breakdown, Shane. Keep up the good work." There you go.
Thank you, Judah. Appreciate
Don't
it.
please don't pump him up. Like, he doesn't need it. Just
No, he really doesn't, honestly. I'm surprised his head can fit in the screen.
Exactly. He's already
or that press box, wherever he is.
his ego is big enough already. Like, just stop.
My office back here at the link.
All right. Wait, hold on. What did you say?
David said Bradbury.
Bradbury. All right, we're gonna go with Bradbury.
Winner.
There it is. That's a good one. You know how many touchdowns Bradbury has given up this year?
Ugh, I don't even think I want to know.
I hate these stats.
6.
I hate these stats because I know for a fact that PFF charted the Tyreek touchdown against him in the Dolphins game. And I also know for a fact that was not his fault.
No,
So,
yeah, I wouldn't have called it that.
I hate those stats because I think they're not very accurate. But
yeah, that's fair.
But it's fair that he has played bad.
Does anybody? We have to come to a decision on Morrow versus Cunningham. It does not bother me. Whatever.
No, yeah, it doesn't either. I mean, again, we could always put it to the people again.
We can go Cunningham. I'll flip.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
We're going to go Cunningham for best player. Nobody saw coming. Oops. On defense. And that wraps it up. There are our mid-season awards for the Eagles. Guys, thank you everyone for watching, commenting. It's been a hell of a season so far. The bye week comes at a great time for us too. We can kind of take a little bit of a breather here. But let's throw it around. Plugs. Ryan, you're up first.
Yeah, listen, to reiterate what Dabs just said, thank you everybody who's taken this journey with us, our second season here, and we're halfway through it, and man, let's hope we have another successful season like we did last year. And I'm not gonna lie, if we make it to the Super Bowl again, I'm just saying it might be because we started this show. I'm just saying we would be 2-0. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, you can find me everywhere on social media. Just search for Philly Sports Alliance. My Twitter/X handle is right there, Philly Sports PSA. Best place to get me is Facebook. Put on the automatic notifications. You get all of the Philly Sports Alliance shows. You get all of the Edge of Philly Sports shows flowing through Facebook as well. So check that out and make sure that you follow us on the YouTube. Obviously this show every Tuesday, Monday, Dibes and I do our NFL draft college football show. Yeah, I'm around pre and post football for Eagles, and we lost David and he's back, and we just wanted to switch spots. Oh no, we're back. But yeah, other than that, please, again, thank you for all the love, support. Hit the follow, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Follow this guy, follow that guy, and definitely follow this guy as well. So means the world to us. Thank you.
Awesome, man. What about you, David?
I'm going to use the week to watch some college prospects.
Yeah.
I haven't done as much as that so far this year, so I'm going to take some time to do that. I hope the Eagles take the week to find a way to acclimate Kevin Byard and Julio Jones into their positions and find a way to adjust the offense with the loss of Dallas Goedert, figure out Roby in the slot, and a way to give Nolan Smith some more snaps on the field.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I'm not plugging anything right now. Follow all these guys. They all do wonderful things. They're on this channel like 30 hours a week. you just look on Twitter and you'll find a live show at some point. So.
All right. Thank you, David. Shane, you're up, man.
Yeah. Check out my YouTube at Shane Half NFL. I also on Twitter. I've got a all 22 passing game review up for the Dallas game right now. So you can go check that out. I'm going to be working on, I'm not on as much of a time crunch since it's a bye week, but I'm working on a Tyler Steen game review. Also potentially going to do a Zach Cunningham game review. So you can look for those later in the week. I'll be recording my new all 22 film review podcast on the BGN channel tomorrow on the Shane page with Johnny Page. So you guys check that out. It usually drops on Wednesday night or Thursday morning. So go check that out if you want more all 22 stuff.
Love it. And then my final thought was just a quick shout out to Terrence Steele, the true player of the game for the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday. 57 pass blocking snaps, 12 pressures allowed, 4 sacks allowed, 7 hurries allowed. The dude sucked. The dude was straight garbage. That was really fun. But we'll be back tomorrow night doing a Sixers versus Celtics watch party and post game. And we have a special surprise tomorrow as well. It's going to be really fun. So we'll reveal that tomorrow. So make sure you follow Shane on Twitter at Shane Half NFL, David at PHL Eagle News, and my man Ryan at Philly Sports PSA. Birds of the Round Table every Tuesday nights, 8 o'clock. We'll see you next week. For Shane, for David, for myself, stay awesome, everyone.